Hello everyone, my name is Jaybird and welcome back to AIRIS. Without any further ado, let's get right back to where we left off last time. Evra, why are you dragging us back here?
We were dead meat last time, even with Lyle. We're going to die for real with just the three of us, you know?
And it's been forever, but you still haven't told me what you discussed with the king. Evra's index finger flies to the front of her lips, and she flashes us a quick grin. All in good time, Aelia. We've been stressing out too long, and it's time for a much-deserved break. Besides, it's about time we finish the quest and cash in the fat reward waiting for us. Her words ring true. They do. They really do. Plus, it's extremely tempting, especially considering how my purse has yet to recover after my attempt to infiltrate the castle to spy on the king last time, but I love questing and beating things up as much as the next girl, and you know it, but I hardly think fearing for our lives in a quest rigged against us counts as a break. Quit being such a worrywart. I'm being logical. Shush you. Logic is for losers. We only died the last time we were here because you distracted me, remember? Please, that was only the icing on the cake. We were doomed from the beginning. Next to me, Teddy begins to nod furiously in agreement.
We still are doomed.
Yeah, just trust me, alright? I know what I'm doing. I search Evra's face for any sign of her changing her mind, but when I find none, I close my eyes briefly with a resigned sigh. Fine, if I die, it's on you. You won't die, I promise. This time, I'll protect you. I avert my eyes, heat rising to my cheeks for some reason at Evra's light words. Oh! I ship it.
Aelia, are we really going to agree to this?
I have a feeling we're gonna have to... Trust Evra. I don't think she would lead us to our deaths, so I'm sure she has a plan or something. Teddy scowls for a beat longer before finally coinciding with a sigh.
Fine, I'll cross my fingers for you.
So Teddy says in a casual tone, but her eyes are narrowing with dread and anxiety. You don't have fingers.
A technicality.
I'd laugh, but I'm too busy mirroring Teddy's expression. After clucking her tongue at us, Ever leads us deeper and deeper into the dungeon, confidence practically radiating off her in waves, even as flame spirits begin to mob around us. 3 spirits suddenly lunge at me, and I immediately duck onto the soles of my feet, creating momentum to swing around both myself and my sword. But Ever giggles and swings her spear around her in a wide circle, barely making contact with the spirits, and somehow all the surrounding enemies disappear into thin air instantly. What in the world? Teddy's eyes are positively sparkling at the sudden change in events.
You never told me you were a mage, and much better one You never told me you were a mage, and a much better one than that useless Lyle. Why didn't you show us how amazingly and fantastical you were earlier?
I practically choke in laughter at Teddy's complete change in attitude. In pure excitement, Teddy pounces on Evra, almost knocking the wind out of her. Evra totters a few steps backwards before erupting into smug cackles. Evra melodramatically tosses back loose strands of her hair, the biggest smirk on her face. I don't want to make you guys feel bad by being too superior, you know? But I thought about it some more and realized I'd rather clear dungeons than coddle you poor lost souls, so here we are.
Here we are.
Rolling my eyes, I lightly bonk the dazzled Teddy on the head. She yelps in feigned pain and growls at me. That's bull and you know it. Tell me the truth. What in the world did you just do? Every woman has her secrets. I scoff at her words, and she titters before shrugging. Titters. Hey, baby, show me those titters. Maybe I'll tell you once we defeat the final boss. It's about time we finish the quest. Come on. She eagerly rushes into the final dungeon room, and I narrow my eyes in confusion before chasing after her with Teddy by my side. This is really nice music for fighting enemies. Teddy and I stand off to the side while Everett dashes towards the boss bat while beaming. At this point, we're more curious about what she'll do than worried or eager to join in on the action, which is rare considering Teddy is one of the most bloodthirsty bears I know. Aren't all bears bloodthirsty? Okay, that's probably not the best comparison, since she's the only bear I know. Teddy is the most bloodthirsty individual I know, and even she seems content to simply lounge around and watch this time, which says a lot. Right before she's a foot or so away from the bat, Ever waves at me with such a cheerful expression on her face that I can't help but grin and wave back. Watch this! You don't need to tell us that. Trust me, we're watching. Ever rolls her eyes, and as the bat unfurls its wing, and preparing to slam her into the wall, she ducks to the ground and rolls around while her mass is low until she's facing the bat from the other side. Like, so much rhyming in these sentences, I feel like I could sing. While the bat takes a split second to reposition itself, Ever lunges forward and she hugs the bat. I blink rapidly, confused out of my mind, as she tiptoes up and tightens her embrace. She fidgets around a little, and a moment later, an audible pop fills the air and the bat poofs into a gigantic cloud of smoke. Ever twirls towards me and lifts up her index and middle fingers into the symbol for victory before dropping into a curtsy. Amazing, right? So amazing that I know you must have cheated, although I have no idea how. If I ask you, are you just going to tell me it's a secret? No, I'll explain it in 2 seconds. For now, though, Ever sprints towards me and then lifts me up easily into a mid-air embrace, swinging me around as she does so. I'm giggling like an airheaded fool even as I knit my brows, confused by her sudden action. Are you going to kill me with a hug too, like you did with the boss? Only if you're into that kind of thing. Into dying like a bat? No, you dunce. Into being squeezed by your incredible truly. With me still in her arms, she steps towards the throne and then gently sets me down on its seat.
Ugh, don't forget about me so easily.
I gasp when Teddy finally loses her patience and begins to grumble, realizing I've forgotten about her presence all this time. How did that happen? I'm about to turn my head towards her and apologize, but Everest speaks up first. Go find a flame spirit to flirt with.
What?
Go on. Interrupt our moment and I'm going to make you poof too. She's clearly bluffing, considering the complete lack of gravity behind her words, but Teddy crosses her arms and shakes her head, grudgingly deciding to remain silent for now. I turn back towards Evra. Flirt? Is that what we're doing right now? Oh my gosh! Sorry. Well, we're doing whatever you make of this. Oh. Oh, hell yeah. I'm saving that right there. Hell yeah. I'm taking a screenshot of this, baby. Holy shit. Oh yeah, I ship it, man. Hell yeah, lesbo power. Lesbo power. Taking a screenshot. Ooh, 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 ooh. Give me a minute, almost a minute. Oh, shit. Okay, give me another minute. It's gonna take a while, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 24. There we go. Done. Ever gives me a playful wink before leaning down to kiss the back of my hand. My heartbeat sputters, then quickens. I tried to shake off the strange emotion that almost immediately and succeed by half. Or by a third. With a delighted giggle, Ever leans down to kiss my hand yet again, exaggerating all her movements as if she were in a play. I hereby declare you my princess, Aelia, and as the most powerful warrior in all the worlds to exist, I shall forever serve you as your knight. Shouldn't that be personal bodyguard or something? Knight feels too impersonal. Evra huffs and repeats her sentence, ignoring my interjection. I shall forever serve you as your knight in shining armor. I shall forever serve you as your knight in shining armor, you moron. Do I get to refuse? Why would she refuse someone so awesome as me? I don't know. I could have a lot of reasons. Mother of souls, Aelia, this is when you're supposed to humor me and go with the flow and be all dazzled and excited and grateful. Am I now? I swing around sideways, careful not to snatch my hand out of Evra's to shift into a more comfortable, regal position. I, Princess Aelia of AIRIS Kingdom, humbly accept your eternal assistance, Knight Evra of Earth. May you bless our realms with your powerful hugs of death. Evra snorts, and I fan myself with my hand. I really would make a better ruler than the current king, though, don't you think? The words escape my mouth without thought. Regretting them and fearing that the atmosphere will sour, I scramble in my mind for something light and silly to say. Any bitterness that manages to seep out my words is completely unintentional. I'd shower the peasants with gold and make you personally protect everyone in the world, and I'd cared for everyone in AIRIS, warriors, nobles, and peasants alike. I'd be adored by all to the point that whenever I'm in a procession through the streets, everyone will toss roses in my direction and watch me pass by with their eyes in the shapes of hearts. Ever flicks my nose, and I realize I've had my neck tilted up pompulously all this time. I feel my face heat up from my neck to my cheeks to the tips of my ears, and she takes the opportunity to kiss my hand one last time. Don't forget, roses have thorns. Although, of course, I'll be there to protect you from them, too. Her voice is almost as melodramatic as mine is, and I giggle some more until she releases my hand. I ship it. Everett takes a few steps back, allowing me room to stand up. I feel a pang of disappointment that our moment of playfulness has come to an end, but it's not like we could have continued acting like that forever, given the circumstances. Teddy shuffles toward us almost immediately, stepping into her expected location by my side.
When are you going to tell me how you managed to defeat the monsters here so easily?
Well, for the first question, Aelia, do you remember when you got injured here last time? I was saying some strange things before you interrupted, which shocked me so much that I let my guard down and I left my back open for the Bat King's attack. I paused to think, then nod. Something about a game and stats? Evra nods back at me. Exactly. Since back then I didn't realize you guys were real, I assumed that by hacking the code a little, I'd be able to alter traits about my character to make myself overpowered. To my disdain, it didn't quite work like that. The language used in the script, the magical script that ties our worlds together, became more and more bizarre and abstract as I continued digging, and the encryption became something I'd never seen before. It took me a while to realize that the entire programming language was something I'd never seen before. I mean, what? Stopping herself in her tracks as she sees my lost dazed expression, Ever shakes her head. Never mind. The point of my rambles is that, as it turns out, I can't change specific traits about the real Ever because she's a real person, not a creation from a combination of code. However, I found a bizarre loophole to bypass the annoyance that caused. For whatever reason, I could affect certain traits of a handful of creatures. I'm not really sure why only some creatures are on the list, but luckily the flame spirits and the Bat King of this dungeon seem to be included. So I lowered what I believe to be their stamina to a negligible amount. Fuck, negligible amount. I can't speak, which is why I could destroy them with nothing but a touch. Ever shrugs, her thoughtful frown half-hearted. I don't know. It all looked pretty random to me, and maybe I misunderstood or missed a bunch of things. But my efforts worked out, didn't they? I sweep my gaze across the completely empty cave room, shaking my head with a slow smile. Huh. Well, that they did. That they definitely did. Honestly, I think I'm even more confused now after hearing your explanation than I was 3 minutes ago, but I must say that I'm very impressed. Shouldn't you be the queen of the dungeons of AIRIS instead of me? That's the boring job, Elio. Why would a noble knight resort to something so horrid? Hey, are you using me as a pawn so that you can fool around then? How underhanded of you. When were you going to tell me that you were playing me for a fool? Evra rolls her eyes and chuckles. When she speaks up again, her voice is intentionally sickly sweet and theatrical again. I mean, fool around is definitely the wrong thing to say, Your Majesty. Knights only have eyes for... I flick her on the forehead before she can finish her sentence, and she lets out a startled yelp. What are you doing? You made me the queen, Evra, and you made yourself the knight. I'm much nobler and of higher status than you are. You have no right to refuse my punishments. Dude, what? Your punishment didn't even have a reason to it. False flattery should be a crime that I can flick people on the head for constantly. Evra knits together her brows momentarily, but her easy grin quickly returns. Excuse you. Anyway, if we're talking strictly about our guild, I'm still of a higher rank than you. You crowned me voluntarily less than an hour ago. Do you have the memory of a goldfish? Come on, admit it. Admit what? That you're a tyrant? I pause, realizing I don't actually remember what I was going to say. I shrug as I think up something to say last minute. That if I'm a tyrant, I'm a darn good one. I glance towards Teddy, wondering why she's been so quiet, and see her eyes glazed over, her expression blank. Teddy? What's wrong? As soon as I call out towards her, she jolts up, then shakes her head rapidly as if waking up from a strange lucid dream.
What? Nothing. That was a weird answer, Evra, and totally not helpful. Dang it, I was hoping to add new super awesome magical spells to my repertoire of battle tactics, but it was just a trick you set up in advance. Where in the world did you get so many explosives anyway?
Evra and I glance at each other, remembering about Teddy's filter. Part of me is morbidly curious about what Teddy heard when Evra was explaining her actions. How does that magic work? I guess I'll never know. Sighing, Evra leans down to pat Teddy on her head. A woman's got to keep her secrets. A beat of silence passes, and almost reluctantly, I ask another question in a lower, slower voice. And when are you going to tell me what the king said? I know I shouldn't pry if it was something personal between the two of them, but I can't help but be worried, and Evra's utter silence on the matter is doing nothing to ease my mind, even though I know in my mind that there's probably nothing to fret over. Evra takes a step back, her eyes starting to the side. Nothing much, Aelia. He asked me about my sphere of influence back home, and he questioned me a bit about when I found out about you vassals being real, what I planned to do about it, and so forth. I'm not hurt or anything, see? And as you saw for yourself, I wasn't gone for very long either. Why have you been so reluctant to tell me about the conversation then? No real reason. Evra, stop. I can tell you're lying. I see her mouth gape open and closed, probably as she tries to come up with some other lie to distract me, but she soon shakes her head and her shoulders droop. Has she changed her mind? He threatened to find a way to permanently cut me off Evra's body if I ever stood against him. Not a big deal. My jaw clenches for a moment. I think, how dare he? But the body isn't really Evra's. Evelyn's, that is. Has never been Evelyn's. As Evra uses the tie between worlds to join us and AIRIS more often than not, it's almost so easy to forget the truth, but it remains there regardless of whether I acknowledge it or not. The giant elephant in the room. If I were the real Evra, the Aryan Evra, I think I'd want to be free no matter the cost. And the threat of the king against her is only, well, it's only justified, isn't it? I don't know exactly how Evelyn herself feels about AIRIS and the body she occupies here, but something tells me she'd be distraught if she were cut off from accessing this place, at least temporarily. Or is that just wishful thinking? No, of course not. Why would that train of thought be wishful on my part? I'm sorry. I was actually planning on not coming back again. That time when I told you I was leaving for a while, I really intended on staying away from AIRIS forever. I don't know. I shouldn't be staying here, but I just want a little more time with you. With everyone. My eyes quiver as I watch her in surprise. She swallows. I just wanted to see everything to the end. Witness a peaceful resolution and all that. I don't know if the king actually can cut off Evra's tie to the earth, or if I'm going to get caught by the game administrators and have my account banned so that I can no longer access Evra's body. If that happens, I'm afraid won't be able to return. I see. Unable to form even a single word in my mind, I blink out a few small tears in silence, and only then do I realize my eyes have gone damp. Just a little. They're moist. After a moment, Evra speaks up again, answering the question I've been too anxious to ask. I tried, I've been trying to cut the tie between the two worlds permanently from my end. Whenever I have even a second of free time, I'm scoring through the code that doesn't even make sense. Code that realistically shouldn't even exist. I haven't found a thing yet. I haven't given up. I won't give up, but so far I've found nothing, and that's the truth. I'm sorry. It's fine, Evra, really. You weren't behind any of this. You're just a typical denizen of Earth or whatever, who ended up tangled in this mess when you thought you were only playing a game. Yeah, I guess. Evra continues to fidget, and I nibble at my lower lip, sensing that Evra has more to say. There's more? I'm not saying what you've told me isn't terrible enough alone, but you seem like there's something else you're hiding. I'm not hiding anything. Not really. It doesn't really concern you anyway. Spit it out, Evra. Wait. I've missed it. I think it said, he threatened you too. What? I mean, it's no secret that you're the person in all of AIRIS I'm closest to. The king has seen me twice. The first time I was trying to save you from your imprisonment. The second time I was one of the people accompanying you into the throne room. I'm sorry. I can't tell if I'm more flabbergasted or flattered that the king thought I was worth threatening. That's the most ridiculous thing I've heard yet. How does that not concern me? Evra shrugs. As long as I don't screw anything up, you won't be hurt. That's all that matters. I shake my head. I shake my head. I shake my head. I shake my head. I say that out loud, apparently. Somehow the fact that the king has threatened Evra that he might hurt me matters less than the fact that he threatened her at all. My voice trails off as I realize I'm again unable to truly process this conversation or respond in any meaningful way. Aelia, I'm sorry. Don't be. I hear her take a deep breath before she speaks up. How much would you be okay with How much damage? I really hate that I'm even asking this question. That asking this question has become potentially necessary, but it has, and I will. What's the worst case scenario you're willing to accept? I'm gonna save it right here, because I feel like that's gonna. I stare at her, shaking as I speak. No, even as I think. I knew it. What's the absolute worst resolution that I will be willing to accept? The tie between worlds must be severed. I don't want to lose you. I just don't want anyone to die. I'm gonna say this. Evra's breath catches in her throat when I say those words. She averts her gaze, and when she speaks, her voice trembles to the point that it takes effort to understand her words. Thank you. Thanks for saying that, even if you. Evra shakes her head and drops the train of thought, as if unwilling or unable to continue it through to the end. I want to stay with you too, no matter what. Let's try our best, from both our ends, to find a way for me to stay without risking the lives of you guys. Yeah, please let's. We can at least hope, right? Evra manages a quick, jerky nod. We quiet down. After a while, Evra speaks up with the weakest shrug I've ever seen in my life. Now, if that's it for now, come on. Evra holds out her hands. Her expression is uncharacteristically tense and apologetic, and my stomach lurches at the sight of it. Teddy and I take each of her hands simultaneously. Come on, it's time to go back home and brag about how we've cleared this entire dungeon with only the three of us. The sudden realization hits me like a ton of bricks, and I whip around to stare at the space where the Bat King used to be, wishing in vain for it to return. What? Evra. The quest said we were supposed to bring the royal medic a small piece of the Bat King's wing. I don't know what you did, but we most certainly did not manage to retrieve any part of his wing before he died. Evra's lips part in surprise, as though she thought only just occurred to her as well. Oh. Her expression melts into a sheepish smile as she rubs the back of her neck in embarrassment. Right, I forgot what the quest actually said.
Does that mean we don't get the money reward after all? But I've been waiting so long to build my own chocolate bed.
Rolling my eyes in exasperation at both my companions, I settled down on the ground, digging through my bag for any snacks that may have remained. Well, I guess we're in for a long wait until the Bat King revives. Does anyone have any food? I'm getting kind of hungry. Without waiting for an answer, I make a grab for Evra's bag, ripping it from her shoulders before she has time to react. Hey, no, give that back! Evra tackles me, trying to wrestle her belongings out of my grasp. Teddy joins the pile, throwing herself on top of us, her weight causing us to shriek and push her off. With laughter floating all around me, it's easy to forget my conversation earlier with Evra. It's easy to believe that our life is still a simple warrior's life revolving around quests and dungeon crawling. It's easy to believe nothing is wrong in this world. For the next few hours at least, that's exactly what I let myself believe in. Well, guys, that's going to be it for this episode of AIRIS. If you enjoyed this episode of AIRIS, leave a like down below, leave a comment down below, share it with your friends, subscribe if you haven't, ring that notification bell, and remember, die safely. Bye-bye!